Tama po ba yung pagkakaintindi po namin na gustong ipasalba ng mga Lopezes nung panahon pong iyon, nung 1973, yung ABS CBN mula sa pagkakalugi? Tama po ba, Senator Enrile?
Tama yun. Mukhang ganun nga sapagkat nga early on or ang negotiation ng mga Lopezes sa gobyerno ay nag-umpisa bago yata magdeklara ang martial law. Dahil nga hindi nila nasa-service yung kanilang mga utang sa mga bangko ng mga panahon na yun. Kung matutukan ninyo yung report ni Don Emilio Abelio at pinirmahan din ni President Senen Gabaldon ng Meralco. Ang may hawak nun ng Meralco nun ay mga Lopezes. Nandun lahat ang istorya at nandun lahat ang mga dokumento. Tanghali po.
Sana po ay maayos po ang inyong kalusugan, ngunit hihingi lang po kami sa inyo ng ilang paglilinaw tungkol po doon sa Ministry Order A003 at kung paano po nagawa ang implementasyon po nito.
Salamat po. Alam po ninyo, noong 1972, September 21, dineklara ni Presidente Marcos. President Marcos declared martial law. And in the planning of martial law, it was the agreement of the government that to prevent bloodshed in the country. And so therefore, when we declared martial law, an order was issued to sequester all television stations, all radio stations, all communication facilities, both domestic and international, in the country. We closed PLDT, both the local operation as well as the international operation. We closed Channel 2, the entire facilities of ABS CBN, Channel 5, Channel 4, Canlaon Broadcasting Station, Channel 7 of Bob Stewart, Channel 9, Channel 13, Channel 11 of Elizalde, 13 is Soriano, Channel 5 is the channel of the Roseses, and all the radio stations throughout the land in order to control the situation so that there will be no reaction or opposition to the declaration of martial law. And so therefore, the facilities of the entire ABS CBN complex, broadcast complex, was placed under the control of the government. The title of all of these facilities were never transferred to the government. They remained with the owners. Hindi po tatama yung sinabi ni JakeLopez na inaagaw ni Presidente Marcos yung ABS-CBN. It was a part of the national policy to immobilize and control the communication system and the outlets for information in the entire nation, and that is what we did. Now, after that, I think it was in 1973, I'm not sure of the exact date and period, ABS-CBN was reopened for purposes of being used by the government to broadcast information throughout the country. And it was placed under the management and control of Canlaon Broadcasting or the Benedicto group of companies. And it was from then on until 1986, that was the situation. Now, in 1986, to be exact, it was February 26, I think it was, 1986, I, as Secretary of National Defense and Sequestrator of ABS CBN and all the other television, radio, and communication facilities in the country, I issued an order to lift the sequestration of ABS CBN. And that was the last time that I had any contact or involvement with ABS CBN.
Maraming salamat po, former Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. At kami po ay natutuwa sapagkat parang bagong-bago pa po sa inyong isipan ang mga nangyari nung panahon po ng martial law hanggang po nung panahong ito. Maraming salamat po, former Senator and Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile.
Incidentally, I would like to tell you that I think it was about the middle of 1973 when Henry Lopez, the father of Gabi, asked a meeting with me, and we met at the coffee shop of Intercontinental Hotel here in Makati. And Henry Lopez said that they wanted the government to take over ABS CBN and transfer the ownership and control of ABS CBN because they could not service their loans. That was the situation. Now, but President Marcos rejected the offer. And because of that, it was, as I said, it was placed under the management and control of Bobby Benedicto. And I think Bobby Benedicto provided new equipment for the television organization of the Lopezes. And that was used throughout the period of martial law until I lifted the sequestration in February of 1986.
Tama po ba yung pagkakaintindi po namin na gustong ipasalba ng mga Lopezes nung panahon pong iyon, nung 1973, yung ABS CBN mula sa pagkakalugi? Tama po ba, Senator Enrile?
Tama yun. At nauna yan na-offer ng mga Lopezes sa gobyerno. Ang sumunod na offer nila yung tungkol sa Meralco. At yung record noon ay nasa isang report na ginawa ni Chairman Emilio Adelio ng Meralco noon at linagdaan din ni President Senen Gabaldon ng Meralco noon. Yung report na yon at hinihiling ni Don Eugenio Lopez na kunin na ng gobyerno yung Meralco sapagkat hindi nila kayang i-service yung kanilang mga loans noong mga panahon na yun.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Sa madaling salita po, pati yung Meralco ay pinasasalba rin po ng mga Lopez noong panahong iyon?
Yun ang katotohanan. Dahil nahihirapan sila na mabayaran. I think, if I remember correctly, ang utang ng Meralco noon na hindi nila nahihirapan sila na bayaran is a little more than 100 million pesos.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Meron pa po bang nais magtanong kay Senator JPE? Yes, Congressman Remulla.
Magandang hapon po, Senator Enrile.
Magandang hapon na Congressman Remulla. Waying, kumusta ka?
Okay naman po. Ito po ang aking katanungan kasi nagkaroon nga ng compromise agreement ang gobyerno at ang ABS-CBN sa korte upang mapawalang halaga na lahat ng mga issue tungkol sa gobyerno at ABS CBN. Ngunit ang mahalaga po yung kasaysayan nga pinag-uusapan, totoo ba ho na malaki ang pagkakautang ng ABS CBN at ng Meralco bago po dumating ang martial law?
Mukhang ganun nga sapagkat nga early on or ang negotiation ng mga Lopez's sa gobyerno ay nag-umpisa bago yata magdeklara ang martial law. Dahil nga hindi nila nasa-service yung kanilang mga utang sa mga bangko ng mga panahon na yun. Kung matutukan ninyo yung report ni Don Emilio Adelio at pinirmahan din ni President Senen Gabaldon ng Meralco. Ang may hawak nun ng Meralco nun ay mga Lopez's. Nandun lahat ang istorya at nandun lahat ang mga dokumento na kailangan ninyo mabasa.
At meron hong dumating na balita sa akin, may naghayag po sa akin, na bago ho dumating ang martial law, todo ho ang pagkakautang, sabi nga sa Ingles, highly leveraged na po ang ABS-CBN bago ho dumating ang martial law. Meron ho kayong alam sa bagay na ito?
Siguro makikita ninyo yan sa mga sa record ng ABS ng Development Bank of the Philippines. At naka-record naman lahat ng mga transaksyon na yan, mga utang na yan. Nasa libro nila yan.
Sa ano ho ba, sa pagkakaalam nyo ba, sa settlement ho between the government of the Republic of the Philippines at ng Lopez family, pati ho yung pagkakautang nila ay wala na hong bagay at ito po lahat ay nakondone na ho ng gobyerno. Kasama ba ho ito sa naging usapan?
Hindi ko alam po yung usapan ng Congree government at ng mga Lopez's doon sa mga bagay na yan. Kasi nangyari yata yan noong pagkatapos ng 1986. Umalis ako sa kabinete ni Congree noong November of 1986. So wala na ako doon at nasa kabila na ako ng politika.
So ang best evidence po, kayo po ay isang ginagalang na abogado, ang pinakamagandang ebidensya po rito, yung records po ng DBP para magkaalaman sa mga katanungan ito, Mr. Senator.
The best evidence is always the books of record, financial records of the banks, the corporations, lahat yan. Makikita ninyo ito, hindi naman mabubura yun eh.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Enrile.
Salamat din po sa inyo.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Attorney Katigbak.
I just want to make one clarification.
Sige po, Senator Enrile.
Narinig ko kanina na sinabi ni JakeLopez. Kaibigan ko yan sapagkat magkasama kami sa law office ng papa ko nung bago pa lang siya naging abogado. Sinasabi niya na nandun sila sa ABS CBN. Siguro nga nandun sila, pero ako ang nagpadala ng mga militar doon para isara yung ABS CBN noon. Pati Channel 9, Channel 13. Kaya kung nandun man sila, salamat. Pero sa totoo lang, kami ang nagpasara noon. Yung grupo ng mga sa rebel soldiers ang nagpasara noon.
Yes, Attorney Katigbak.
Hindi po ako attorney, Mr. Chair.
Mr. President, CEO Katigbak. Sige po.
Attorney Almeida Lopez would like to be recognized po.
Sige po, pakinggan po natin si Attorney Almeida Lopez. You're now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, it is a very happy occasion also because We have been colleagues before of Johnny Ponce Enrile. He was talking about 70 years ago, probably thereabouts. And we have not had the chance to really socialize anymore. Anyway, I would like to respond to some of the questions, not really completely abrogating whatever he's saying. The first one was the declaration of martial law. Assume already that that was valid and legal during the period of crisis, as they mentioned it. But the truth of the matter is that not long after, the Benedicto companies took over ABS CBN, and the Benedicto companies were called RPN and KBS. They were owned by Marcos. The name of the company of Marcos was FEMI, Far Eastern Management Inc. But everybody knew it was owned by Marcos. They took it. And the truth of the matter is that, tama si Johnny, we were concerned about the obligations. ABS had heavy obligations because it put up the broadcast center. And I'll tell you, we had to go outside of the Philippines because the local banking community were very, very adamant about lending money to broadcast companies because they knew that it was relatively fragile. Anyway, we went to abroad and we obtained loans from First City Bank of New York, then from Croker's Bank, then from Philadelphia Bank, and a slew of other banks. When Marcos declared martial law and they took over, FEMI took over ABS CBN, the bankers came to request from President Marcos a program of payment for the loans that were obtained by ABS CBN. Ang sagot ng Marcos wala naman ako utang sa inyo. Bakit ako ang kinokobra nyo? Kung merong nagpautang sa inyo, doon kayo magsumingil. Singilin nyo ang Lopez. Yun ang sagot ng Marcos sa mga abogado. Na-stand ang mga abogado. Kasi sila na may hawak ng ABS. Pero ayaw nila bayaran. Hindi sila nagbayad sa bangko, hindi sila nagbayad sa Lopez. So, gano'n ang mga pangyayari niya. So, it's just a clarification of what John is saying. Now, as far as the debts with the DBP are concerned, let me give you the background of that. This was long time ago. You know, the father of television in this country was Antonio Quirino, the brother of Elpidio Quirino. He set up the company in 1950. No, he bought the company from two Americans, Bolinao Electronics Company. And he was the one who started television. He went abroad, brought home 500 sets, of which only 50 were operational. In the process, well, anyway, let me put it this way. He borrowed money from government institutions. One way or another, he was able to get money from the institute, hoping that Elpidio Quirino would win. Unfortunately for Antonio Quirino, Elpidio Quirino lost to Ramon Magsaysay. So, he could not pay the obligations with DBP. And the people who were really concerned were not Antonio Quirino. It were the officials of DBP and the other financial institutions. Because masisisi sila, bakit yung pinautang yun si Antonio Quirino? By the way, Antonio Quirino's group of companies was called Alto. Aleli, the name of his wife, and Tony, that's his name, Alto. We still carry that name. ABS CBN is Alto Broadcasting Corporation. We carry that name because we acknowledge that Mr. Quirino...
Jake, it is Alto Broadcasting station, ABS.
Yes. Alto Broadcasting System. Alto Broadcasting System. Yan ang pangalan. Inutang niya yung kwarta sa DBP. Worried na worried yung mga opisyal ng DBP. Masisisi sila bakit pinautang yung kapatid ng presidente. Pumunta si Mr. Orosa, the head of DBP. Pumunta kay Chino Roses. Umayaw si Chino Roses. Bakit ako papasok dyan? Napakahirap na trabaho niya. Why will we pioneer there? Pumunta sila kay Elizalde, DCRH, the dominant radio station at the time. Umayaw din ng Elizalde. Pumunta ngayon reluctantly pumunta kay Lopez. I say reluctant because in that elections, the Lopezes went for magsaysay against the brother of Elpidio Quirino. But Eugenio Lopez was interested because of Henny Lopez. You know, Henny Lopez took his master's in Harvard. He brought his wife there, that is why diyan pinanganak yung Gabi Lopez. While he was there in Boston, he was exposed to television. Alam mo, television hindi kilala din sa Pilipinas yan. In 1950s, hindi kilala yan. For that matter, the whole of Southeast Asia, walang television. If only the only one country that had television was Japan. China did not have it. So anyway, na-expose si Henny dyan sa television. Ang sinabi niya, sa isip niya, ito bagay na bagay ito para sa Pilipinas. And you know, at that time, it was the feeling that if you were in media, you're in newspaper, you should also be in broadcast. Well, anyway, he came back to the country, Henny Lopez, and in informal talks with his father, he explained that, boy, maganda yan. They applied for a franchise to operate television. But in the meantime, there was this offer from Elpidio Quirino. The truth of the matter, ang gusto ng Orosa, ma-assume lang yung obligation ni Elpidio Quirino. Ang katotohanan nyo, na yung kwento mismo ni Antonio Quirino, pumasa na lang ang kwento sa akin. Na yung nag-uusap sila gano'n, sinulat ni Mr. Lopez kung makano ang babayad niya yung over and above assuming the obligation of...
Mr. Chair, may I interrupt, please?
Yes, Congressman Marcoleta.
I don't think we are getting anywhere, Mr. Chair. I don't know the question. And are we interested in narratives or we are more interested on records? I think we already agreed yesterday that the narratives are okay. And for purposes of hearing them, I think we have two distinguished grand old men who would like to revisit the past. It's almost a good hearing time, Mr. Chair, but the records are indispensable because even the sworn statement of Attorney Almeida Lopez is all about arbitration. He started about agreements to arbitrate. 2 documents have been presented. But yesterday, when we were asking for records, I don't think ABS CBN was so determined and they were so sure to be able to get the records. Mr. Chair, the best evidence are the records. We can hear all these narratives. For example, we talk about the loans in DBP. They're so persistent. About $600 million in the 70s. And when our peso was devalued, the government pays them because of the sovereign guarantee. But this is another record. Today, we are, I think, settling a particular statement sworn before us by Attorney Almeida Lopez. This representation yesterday demanded the submission of the records of the arbitration proceedings ordered and initiated by no less than the office of the President. This is all recorded in his affidavit. The President was unflinching. She said, for the sake of total transparency, she suggested an arbitration committee where ABS CBN will be given all the opportunity in this world to present their evidence. She even mentioned about Torrens titles and any proof of evidence for the claim of ABS CBN, not only in Bohol Avenue, but also those that are cited in the other provinces. And I can almost memorize the statement that Malacanang wanted that the proceeding be made public, formal, and properly recorded. Mr. Chair, I think we gained our right to demand those records. I'd like to have a categorical answer from ABS CBN, when will the records be submitted? Because there is no substitute for the arbitral award, Mr. Chair. They started with an agreement to arbitrate. I think we have all the reasons to believe that the arbitration was completed.
Mr.
That
Chairman.
is the only document, Mr. Chair, that we can rely upon in order to see once and for all whether the documents sought by the arbitration committee in presenting all the evidence of ownership were presented properly. The arbitral award will tell us all those proceedings, Mr. Chair. That is why
Yes,
there is no substitute for the best evidence.
Thank you,
The records themselves.
Deputy Speaker Marcoleta.